From piney woods to paper products, the evolution of pulpwood, labor, and the Crosset Mill, as told by Uncle Ernest opines. I keep a picture tucked in my wallet, same place as the fishing license and that fortune cookie slip I can't quite throw away. It's a pulpwood truck, short sticks rigged up like corduroy, straps biting down, red dust haloed around the tires. If you ever stood on a ditch bank outside Crosset and felt one of those rigs lean past, you remember the sound. Chainsaws in the distance, a loader clacking, men talking in that clip way working folks do when time is money and daylight is burning. That little picture is my pocket-sized time machine. It smells like sap and diesel and somebody's Prince Albert. Now, don't get me wrong. Trees have always been trees, but the names we give them change what they're worth to us. Sawtimber is a word that stands up straighter, wears a clean shirt, gets invited inside to be planed and polished into boards. Pulpwood is its scuffed-up cousin, knotty, crooked, too small, too branchy, or just the tops that won't make a pretty 2x10. Still useful, mind you. It's the stew meat of the forest, not for steaks, but it'll keep you alive. A forest that grows fine saw logs needs thinner now and again. Get the scrubs and crowders out so the straight boys can breathe, and all that thin stuff needs somewhere to go. That's the quiet bargain of the woods. Pulpwood keeps the sawtimber honest. We used to count that bargain in cords, neat little 4s by 4s by 8s, heavy with bark and air, the measure of sweat. Then we started putting it on scales, paying by the ton, because a scale don't argue and a clock don't wait. Somewhere between the stacked cord and the truck scale, a whole way of life slid from one hand to the other. You see, the pulpwooder wasn't a payroll name in a brick office. He was his own outfit. Truck, saw, fuel, busted knuckles, answering to a wood dealer who answered to the mill. It was a system that spread the risk thin enough that most of it ended up on the men in the woods. A lot of those men were black, making a living in counties that didn't offer many ways to do it. The work was dangerous, the margins were skinny, and if the tally man at the yard short-sticked you, well, arguing didn't pay the note on your saw. Folks say that sounds like sharecropping with bark on it. I reckon there's some truth to that. But progress, Lord help us, it sneaks up on you with a bigger wrench. First came the trucks with better brakes, then the diesel horses with hydraulic arms that never got tired, never got mad, never asked for a raise. Fella bunches took whole trees in one bite. Grapple skidders dragged armfuls to the landing. Knuckle-boom loaders swung like hungry cranes, stacking long stems like pickup sticks for giants. And suddenly, the old bottleneck, 2 men humping 5-foot boats onto a truck, wasn't a bottleneck anymore. You could leave the tree long, haul it long, and let the mill chew it up with machinery that worked 3 shifts and never complained about rain. Chips could even be made right there in the woods. Whole trees swallowed and blown into vans, skipping the yard altogether. That's when the short log truck started fading from the roads like a deer trail in Bermuda grass. Not all at once. You still saw one here and there, paint flaking, headboard scarred, stacked with sticks like a rough quilt. But the long log rigs multiplied, and the yard's appetite changed to match. The pulpwooder's job became a machine operator's job, and a lot fewer folks needed to do a whole lot more. That's efficiency. It's also a long, hard goodbye. Crosset knows that song by heart. The town was born because 3 Iowa fellas, Crosset, Gates, and Watsack, looked south in 1999 and saw a promising sea of pine. They didn't just build a sawmill, they built a town around it, because logs don't cut themselves and families need roofs. For a good long while, the model around here was cut out and get out. But Crossett did a curious thing for its time. They brought in foresters, Yale men with measuring tapes and notions about sustained yield. Treat the woods like a crop, not a one-night stand. Cut some, grow some, cut again. Then in 1937, they closed the loop by opening a craft mill right in town. Suddenly, pulpwood and sawmill chips had a purpose bigger than the burn pile. Waste turned into paychecks. After '62, Georgia Pacific wore the crown. More machines, more capacity. The mill's guts got modernized and complicated. Hardwood this way, pine that way, bleaching here, board there, tissue over yonder. We like to remember the company town handshake, but union badges, picket lines, and hard feelings set in too. Comes with growing up. By the time the 1980s rolled around, what happened at the gate could split a family dinner 6 ways from Sunday. Then in 2005, GP got folded into Coach's Big Ten. Private money with a long horizon and a sharp pencil. From the outside, not much changed at first. Brands still on the shelves, machines still humming, but you could feel the math tightening. And then in 2019 came the news you could hear in folks' voices before you saw it in print. The pulp mill, wood yard, and bleach board lines were shutting down for good. 500+ jobs gone. That's not just numbers. That's Little League fees, church potlucks, new ties on prom night. The reason given was plain as a ledger. To keep that side of the operation alive would have required more money than the returns could justify. In English, the old iron had gotten too old and the competition too slick. Meanwhile, the part of the business that made the best money wasn't pulp at all. It was the things you and me buy by the cartful. Tissue, towels, the soft stuff that disappears 1 square at a time. So the mill didn't die, it molted, shed the heavy skin of cooking trees and kept the nimble skin of making finished goods. Angels, Quilts, Braun, those brand names stayed, and Crossett bent itself toward them. If you walk the floor now, well, you don't really walk so much as you follow the ballet. Baled market pulp arrives like biscuits in a sleeve, already cooked, dried, stacked, and strapped somewhere far away. Big drums and pulpers loosen it into a slurry. The tissue machines do that ETAD magic, pressing and floating, making paper that's strong and soft and don't cost the earth in steam. After that, the robots take over. Folks around here call them elephants and dragons and barges. Laser-guided critters sliding those parent rolls around, feeding converters, wrapping, stacking, loading. It's a dance of 95% machine and 5% human. Though I swear the humans do the thinking and the worrying for the full 100. Is it better? Hard to say without slipping into sermonizing, which I try to avoid except when the cough is burned. I tell you what it is. It's the truth of how industry moves. We go from back muscles to hydraulics, from cords to tons, from woods work by the man day to mill work by the minute. The goal, efficiency, stays the same. The tools change their manners. And yet, here's the paradox I keep turning over like a pocket knife. The forest still wants the same old things: light, water, elbow room. If you won't find saw logs 40 years from now, you still have to thin the stand in its awkward teenage years. That thin wood still needs a home. OSB, pellets, chips, pulp, those markets yoked to the mill's needs, they're the quiet plumbing under the house of sustainable. You can brag on veneer all you want, but somebody better come pick up the scrubs. So I keep that pulpwood truck picture for 2 reasons. First, to remember the men who loaded stick by stick, backs bent and hands nicked, keeping their families fed on a narrow road. And second, to remind myself that every machine we build to save a step stands on the shoulders of the steps somebody once took by hand. The elephants and dragons in that bright mill, they're kin. distant shanty kin to the old loader and the crosscut team under a November sky. The other day I caught sight of a long log rig easing through town, bog dust trailing like a comet tail. Different truck, different destination, same old bargain between tree and time. I reckon the smoke won't rise from the recovery boiler here, and the yard won't ring with short sticks clacking. But inside, fiber still finding its way from forest to pantry, just with fewer boots and more lasers. And that picture in my wallet, I slide it out once in a while, hold it up to the light and smile. Because the world changes on you, sure it does, but a man ought to keep one or two snapshots that remind him where the road began. Truth is, that little truck still rolls, if only in memory. And memory around here is one thing we never run out of.